So, one of the things that really does plague game development are the challenges of dealing with your audience, dealing with other games that will be competing against you, and also dealing with the challenges of technology and their limitations. In many cases, game development teams have suffered from all of these things put together, and then one other very, very stronghold or strange hold that a game development company will feel is from its publisher if it's actually beholden to one. So, today's video, we're going to be looking at Tom Clancy's The Division. We're going to look at Ubisoft, Massive, and we're going to look at other games that, in a sense, have, come into this space, especially now that we've had a lot of quiet, time in The Division to kind of reflect over the game. So I remember, you look at some of the history from Warlords of New York. I think that's when things really, really was a big struggle for The Division and the community. And a lot of people really did feel, this interesting dynamic in terms of the developers basically suspending people for using hacks and cheats or whatever it is, glitches. I guess that's what I'll call it. They were using glitches because hacks and cheats apparently don't go punished in this game. They were using glitches to try to get themselves advanced with a shade level and try to farm other things. And then they got these suspensions. These suspensions really rubbed off wrong on the community. But again, we've talked about this in the past. Some people are of the mind that if you use the glitch, whatever dish you ate, it was, your own problem. Some people also are kind of mad because justice was not served in a, consistent way. And there was also talk, a video by Daddy Fouye said that within Massive and even the Ubisoft pipeline, there were internal struggles as to what to do to actually resolve this issue. And some people did not want for the, the suspensions to go out, while some people in the studio wanted for the suspensions to go out. So even within the studio, probably someone in the leadership role had to make the call, and finally everybody had to just go with that. So, or maybe they took a vote. I don't know how that all played out. Now, you also come back and look at this, so-called new content that we've been promised, which has been doubted by many people. People have said this content's not coming. It's not a thing. It's not going to happen. When games like Battlefield 2042 or whatever it is comes out, The Division is toast. And this is what they've said. Well, every time I've heard this, I usually smile and I just sit back and wait because I'm just waiting, carefully. But here's something we have to consider. In the gaming industry, there are very few games that have received enough quality and polish like The Division. The one thing that The Division actually lacks more than anything else is Ubisoft's commitment for continuity, like, say, other studios like Rockstar. You see, The Division 1 was a solid game. No one doubts that. As much as I'll tell you I still like The Division 2, there's no one who's going to argue against saying, they could have just continued what The Division 1 was. If Ubisoft had a little bit more vision in terms of continuity, they would have been able to revive and resuscitate that game and bring in people who already purchased that first game and were, basically sitting on copies of that game, in many cases digital versions, and even in some cases physical versions. You see, a game like Grand Theft Auto gets a 10-year lifespan because Rockstar understands that commitment. They also understand that, and a game like Red Dead Redemption is probably also going to get a decade worth cycle as well, with all of its online elements. Ubisoft, on the other hand, is sequel driven. Let's get to the next game, to the next game, to the next game. And that's why you're seeing The Division 2 as a thing. And now that they're probably trying to continue Division 2, it probably is some interesting aspect because they've already gone ahead to say, let's just throw in all these other, games. Now we have Heartland in the works. We have other Division content. And, you're seeing all of this stuff just pretty much just not necessarily gel together. And this is Ubisoft's business practice. But nonetheless, The Division has still remained resilient through all of this push and pull from the community, pulls from the developer, pull from the publisher. This game is still sitting here, and now there's a controversy with the whole Battlefield thing. So what's going on? From my understanding, I've heard and read that EA wanted to set up a sandbox, a test, kind of an alpha prototype or whatever it is, just for people to be able to hop in and stress test the servers and stress test the crossplay feature. Not only did this backfire, but there were, talks that this entire experience was not optimized. And I don't think people necessarily paid attention to exactly what it is that they were trying to do. Now, it could also be the fault of EA that they didn't communicate and they didn't tell people, yo, this is going to be buggy and this is going to be trash. Don't come in here thinking that this is the full, beautiful game that you're going to be getting. And so people went in there or whatever it is, and they saw kind of like, the nasty part of game development, which is the unfinished work, the stuff that's, that brings in all the bugs with it before everything gets polished and, done. And so right now, what you're going to be seeing and what you're hearing is people are saying, don't buy Battlefield. When the game comes out, it seems EA wants to actually just, slide this busted game to you during Christmas season. Hold off, hold off, hold off. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that you should buy an EA game or you should do whatever. Heck no. EA has already scarred me with FIFA. And the only thing I can even recommend for you right now from their own catalog is Respawn's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And if they bring out the second Jedi game, that's also something I may be able to recommend once I play it. So that's about it for me in that sense. But now I think what the reality is people are starting to see that even a game like The Division with all of its problems is actually still a better product than many other games out there. Because, I didn't stop hearing the list of games that were going to kill The Division for, years. I've heard this since Division 1. Many people don't necessarily realize that even within the Division 1's cycle, a game like Ghost Recon Wildlands was released. It was released in February of 2017. It didn't kill the Division. The Division was already in its own little world. And February of 2017, I think, we got some content in the Division that really did change the game. I think that's when we got like Underground Survival or something. I can't remember. And the Division was still just running its own course. I also heard other, stories. I heard other iterations that, oh yeah, when this game comes out, when Cyberpunk 2077 comes out, the Division is toast, even though Cyberpunk 2077 is an entirely different game. I heard when Ghost Recon Breakpoint comes out, the Division was going to be toast, even though Ghost Recon Breakpoint, yes, a Tom Clancy game being developed by another studio, was going to be doing its own thing. We heard all of that talk. We also even heard, to this point and to this day, we heard that Call of Duty, it was going to destroy the Division. Everybody ran, played Call of Duty, realized that this game is still what it is. It has its own issues, but I still want to play Division nonetheless. And now the Division is here, and the community is now starting to have its conversations with its developers. In my last video, I said one of the reasons you're hearing this blank silence, which you can't hear blank silence, but it's what it feels like. It's because Ubisoft wants to push their other IPs that have been, developed, that are fresh off the block. These are new IPs. They spent money getting them done. So they're not going to prioritize the Division content over that, especially if there's that possibility that this Division content is going to take away any of the spotlight from Far Cry 6 and even Rainbow Six Extraction. Regardless of what you think, people may say they don't want to buy Extraction, but most PvE players and people who probably have never played any other Rainbow Six game, they have the potential, to be buyers of that game. So I think Ubisoft wants to make sure they prioritize that. And then we're going to see wherever we stand in this Division universe. And also, don't write off a Division 3 game. It is a huge possibility. There's a huge install base, a huge player base, and we are basically the target audience more than anything else. If you even think about something else, something has changed also in the gaming world, and I don't know how long this change has been or since when it's been, pretty much put into place. But it's this marketing scheme where game companies will advertise their new games in their old games. So this is something really interesting. Let me give you one of these examples, and then we'll just log out of this video and I'll hear your own thoughts at the end of the day. NetherRealm Studios was supposed to, continue, content for Mortal Kombat 11. In fact, Mortal Kombat 11 came out the same year as the Division 2, and they brought out, 2 DLC packages. I wouldn't call it 2 DLC packages. I think one of them was, yes, a DLC, and then another one was, based on, fighters that they added to the game. Keep in mind that games like Tekken, 7 and games like Street Fighter 5 are still adding a lot more characters and still have been. And Mortal Kombat 11 is basically an infant compared to these other games, which is crazy because these other games in Mortal Kombat 11 are all, played even to the highest level in terms of competition. But after a while, NetherRealm said they weren't going to be supporting the game. Now, the only reason we kind of know or had a clue that NetherRealm was going to even be adding content was because people data mined a lot of files from the Steam pages and from the Steam database. And they were able to see that there was new content coming. Well, guess what? They removed all of these data files, and then they went ahead and did an update to their old game from 2017, Injustice 2, and people were thinking, I wonder what this update was, and then all of a sudden they found out this update was an ad for Mortal Kombat 11, a game that they had said they were not going to be supporting. So it was more like a triple slap to their community. Now, we, in the case of the Division 2, I think we're fortunate. Even though we don't have the best deal cut out, I guarantee you that the deal that we have coming with Heartlands and come in with potential Division 2 content, you can take that to the bank and you can cash it, because we have a better deal right now than NetherRealm's community, because they've basically been abandoned so the NetherRealms can go make a a Mortal Kombat 12 game or whatever it is that they're making. Warner Brothers really did spit on their community with that particular move that they made. Anyways, thinking about this, the Division 1 already has already placed the ads for Division 2. It's placed it from a very long time ago. And whatever the Division universe continues to do, we're going to continue to receive that marketing. We're going to continue to see those ads being placed on this particular game as well. So how they're going to merge and gel everything, I guess that's the big question. Because, you know, they're all in the Division universe and you're going to be seeing all of that. Again, there might also be a Division 3 game that will also provide that platform for the Division 2 and for Heartland to market that other product, because that product is going to be a price product and Ubisoft is going to really want to take it to the next level. So even though Heartland might be the game on the horizon right now in terms of the new Division branded game, I think that just provides another marketing platform, because it being a free-to-play is more than likely going to be that trampoline to get people in to bounce off to another Division game within the universe. Massive, I think, is a Division producing firm right now. They've established themselves as going to be making Division, as going to be making Star Wars, as also going to be making Avatar. So this is going to be their three main games that they're going to be working on. And being a Ubisoft studio, especially with the caliber, especially with the engine, the technical expertise that they have, it's not out of the question. But anyways, I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think that those claims that constantly say the Division is going to die when this game comes out, do you think that those claims are not considering that those games have their own complexities and their own issues as well? And it's very wise, in my opinion, to just wait till those games come out and then, you know, be able to evaluate how that game's going to have its own effect on, say, the Division. Now, this doesn't mean that people are going to not play the Battlefield game when it comes out, but I think the important lesson is these issues are going to continue to arise regardless. Today is not going to be the last day where we're going to see a promising game have issues. But I think one thing that gamers, you know, are learning now is game development is a dirty, nasty business. You sit down with a team of, you know, a bunch of developers, even from DICE, which is also a very prominent studio. And, you know, when they're trying to bring out a technical expertise, they and the community find themselves on different pages. Now, I'm not judging the game. I'm just judging that alpha test sandbox. I'm not saying that, you know, the game is not going to be good. I think the game more than likely will be good if you were to ask me, because they know that they're coming in for competition. But I think this experience has humbled a lot of people, even them, and even, you know, some of the people who are probably looking forward to the game and probably trying to commit. I can imagine some people have already pre-ordered even the $90 version, and then seeing this have probably withdrawn their pre-orders. But again, I'll get out of your hair. Talk to you guys in another video. Hit subscribe, comment, do whatever you want. I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks a lot. Peace.